we're back for another video, and we're staring at a computer case. And that means we're going to be doing stuff with computer parts. These two are hard drives removed from items dismantled in the process of repairing a 27-year-old music box for a toy, which I think is rare and hard to identify. In any case, this first hard drive, the 1 terabyte one, came out of an Optus Fetch TV box, and I believe it's an M605T. I'm going to see what's on that drive. The other one came out of an Aussie MyStar box, which is like, yeah, satellite TV in Australia. And we're going to see what's on that too. And both of these had lots and lots of Torx tamper-proof screws in there to prevent you getting to the drive, which tells me maybe that was cheaper than getting them encrypted. So they might be in a recognizable format. So we're going to plug them into a SATA lead in here. I'm probably going to disconnect my CD-ROM drive or DVD burner and see what comes up on the computer. Alright, let's do the 1 terabyte first. Plug this in. Luckily I have a motherboard that supports hot swapping. Now this might have to hang off the power lead for a minute. Oh, once I get that in the right way around, I'll hang that down there and we'll see what happens. Now this is a bit of a horrible angle. It's worth noting that I have an application loaded that will actually check for non-Windows partitions, like, you know, EXT and EFS and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do first is see if this drive is detected. So let's have a look at hard disk partitions here. I really need to run a screen capture program for some of this stuff. Okay, so we have a healthy primary partition in a format that nothing seems to understand, which is not surprising, and a 517 meg partition. Oh no, these are all my primary partitions. Disk 3 partition 1. Yeah, it's all in the one partition. Doesn't know what it is. It's probably going to be something like XFS or something like that. Give me a minute. Alright, so I've loaded up my Linux partition manager, which is ext2fsd, I think it is, or this is ext2 volume manager. I've got a lot of these things on here. So we're looking for disk 3. Disk 3 is apparently a raw partition in a Linux partition type. Not sure about that, but it certainly can't mount it. Oh, okay, let's try mount. Let's see what happens. Also, okay, so it's mounted as F drive. Let's see what F drive contains. See if it F'd up. No, I won't read it within Windows, but it did mount it. Well, at least I know I can make that disk usable. Let's see what Crystal Disk Info has to say about its health. This should check the smart status of the disk. Crystal Disk Info says that F drive is good, and it's only had, wow, that's only had 1,112 hours, 46 days. Power on hours. Okay, so my C drive, which is a Samsung SSD that I've had only a little while, has already had 4 times that much usage. I don't think this box ever really got used. So that's actually a very healthy 1 terabyte drive. And I'm currently looking for a replacement for my senior financial manager's machine. So that could be that one. Let's plug the other drive in. Right, so the 500 gig drive is actually using some sort of different, I think it might be using a GPT. In either case, it's not using any sort of detectable boot record or partition table system. So either the drive is knackered, or or it's using some system I'm not aware of. I could probably run some data recovery on that, but I might end up just making these drives useful. But I'll do a bit of homework first. I am going to check that on Crystal Disk Info though. Alright, so while I wasn't able to mount it, I was still able to check the smart status, and we've got 42,000 hours on that drive. Let's compare it to my E-drive, which I have had about close to 10 years now, and it's only got 14,000 hours on it, but it powers down when not in use. Yeah, so it only really runs, that's my secondary drive. You can see over here I've got the SSD held on with aluminium tape because it doesn't fit the brackets. That's E-drive there. It only gets powered up just to save the occasional thing and then shuts down again. This one had a whole lot more life on it. What does that calculate that out to? 1,844 days. I think this drive's probably nearly had it, but it might serve out its time as a sacrificial drive for something like a DVR or something. Alright, well that's handy anyway. So I've got a healthy drive and one that I don't think I'd use for anything valuable. But yeah, anyway, we'll make that one useful. I'm going to do a bit of homework before I format all these and see if there's any utilities for accessing these drives. Okay, so to continue the saga of these removed drives, I did a bit of homework and I looked at them. I ran a live boot on Kali Linux, had a look at the partitions. Well, this one, the 1 terabyte that's out of the Optus box, it's an encrypted partition. It's just not worth my effort for a few TV shows, not with torrents and VPNs the way they are. The 500 gig one here, it's not an encrypted file system, but it is a very obscure one. I could access stuff, but it's recorded in one big continuous loop. And I did find some software that could play that loop. It's some DVR software. But basically what I had to do was put this into a DVR and then have it search within a time code. And I don't know what time code to search for, so it's nearly impossible to find exactly when that single continuous file is. And without the index, I'm never going to find a TV show. So these are going to go back into circulation. Both of them test up very, very good. However, the main drive in my financial manager's computer is showing some smart status warnings. It's showing that there's some unreadable sectors that have been reallocated and some stuff like that, things that indicate the drive is dying. Whereas this has only had about 1,000 hours or 1,100 hours. The one in my financial manager's computer has had nearly 44,000 hours, or some ridiculously high number like that. So from there, I think what we're going to do, we're going to pull out a Kronos True Image and we're going to make a clone of her drive and swap the hard drives out, because that really needs doing and there's some crashes happening. We'll nip this this problem in the bud before it becomes a big issue. Preventative maintenance, that's the word. Okay, to that end, I'll go through my box of assorted memory sticks. I know one of these blue ones is, that one I believe is a Kronos True Image on a memory stick. We'll take that one. That's a bootable operating system, and that should let us both check and clone the partition on a 1 terabyte. So let's move over to the other computer. Alright, so we've snuck into the financial manager's office while she's at work. And now we've got to run a few things first before we clone this. So I know on this we have Crystal Disk Info installed. Let's check the status of the drives. Alright, so we have her old hard drive in here from a previous system that we know has got problems, and it's already throwing an issue. So let's scroll over to our faults here and have a look. Move up a bit. Alright, so this is our old hard drive and it's showing some reallocated sector count being 36. Sometimes the way this reads doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But, you know, I'll get clarification on that soon enough. I know that things flagged yellow are a problem. Her main C drive, which is what's operating things, it's a 500 gig. This is a refurbished business machine, and this is the drive that came with it. So certainly a 500 gig will be a step up. So it's got a current pending sector count, which means they've probably got bad sectors. That is a sign of physical damage, at least as far as my understanding goes. Either case, whenever it reads a caution on here, I think we probably need to to fix that. So yeah, so we've got reallocated sectors, current pending sector count, and uncorrectable sectors. All indicate that there's a problem and probably physical damage. So I'm going to shut this thing down and I'm going to reboot it with a Cronus True Image, and we're going to start the clone. Right, so I just had a visitor, so I had to wait, but now I'm under the desk here and I don't recall how to open this case. I think there was some kind of special latch to push to open this one. It's a bit hard to see in situ down here. No, there's no screws on there. I'll just use some force, which is not usually recommended. There's a button. I'm smart. And a bump on the camera. Right, so we've got two hard drives here. I want to connect in place of one of them, namely the 500 gig. I'm not sure which is which. I guess we'll unplug one and we'll pull the rack out and see what it says. This has a quick release rack on it. It's a WD Caviar, but the CPU heatsink is in the way. I can't see what it is. I think the WD Caviar was the 500. Let's see if we can remove this one. Alright. This also has the quick release and this is easier to get out. This, by a process of elimination, should tell us which one the top one is. But the stupid little plastic clips in the way. How did I ever get this stuff in here? With great difficulty. Alright. There is this one. This one's our 1 terabyte, which I believe is the old one. And it's a Seagate. Okay, so I'll plug our top one back in. And I'll get in the way of the camera. Because I'm using the camera's light to see what I'm doing here. There we go. And where's that SATA lead? That was the lower one. That's the lower power. Upper SATA connection. Where are you? There it is right there. Alright. That one. Okay. Now we'll plug in the other drive. Here is our other drive. Plug you in, so I now have new drive and old drive. I'm not even going to bother formatting this because a Cronus True Image will rewrite the entire drive sector by sector, so formatting is not really worth my time. It's just going to do it again anyway. It'll erase any format that I put on there. I'm going to try and put that in a nice stable position down there gently. Now we take our memory stick and we'll insert in the front panel and we'll try and boot from that. Alright, let's see. I forget which the BIOS key is for this. I think F12 was for alternative boot. Okay, here we go. USB key. Yes, boot from that. Okay, and that should bring us up. Cronus, okay, so it's gone straight to Windows 10. No, we don't want that, but we know we've got the right drive. Alright, let's try again. F12 for alternative boot. Could be, so we want to go to move the selection, enter to boot the selected, or to select boot device. So I guess let's do a legacy boot off that. Let's see. There we go, starting a Cronus loader. It's nice and quick. So we want the 64-bit, considering this is a 64-bit system. We don't want universal restore. We want universal tools. System report system, yeah, okay, so True Image is what we want, 64-bit. I'm trying to do two things at once with an eye that is a little funny since the last recurrence of MS. I was mostly blind in one eye for a little bit. I went back to having good eyesight for a while. It was called optic neuritis. And I've reasoned it's come back just a little bit. So I've got a few little gaps in the visual field in just one eye. It makes things like this really disconcerting. Oh, have mouse control. Yay. Okay, so tools and utilities is what we had to go to. Clone disk. yes, do the automatic stuff so I don't have to think about this. So now, so we have disk 1, which is a 500 gig, which I believe is the original OS. Yes. And we know the other one was a 1 terabyte. So, and we know it was Windows 10 because it was trying to load Windows 10 before. But it never hurts to double check when you're going to clone a drive. So the 1 terabyte's on the floor here. I'm just grabbing the other one. So this is the one we removed, which is a 1 terabyte. So that can be out of the way. Alright, let's let this think for a bit. We're up to selecting the target disk, which is going to be the 1 terabyte. Okay, and it says it's a Linux native partition as well, which we knew. But we're going to write straight over the top of that, because this is more useful to us. Destination hard disk drive you have chosen contains some partitions that could contain useful data. They could, but they're encrypted, so we don't care. Just get rid of them anyway. Alright, we wait a bit more. Okay, we're up to the next step. We're just going over how this will all work. So it appears of the original disk, there's 500 gig unallocated. Alright, so interesting. Oh no, this is before and this is after. Okay, so yeah, we're only going to be using 500 gig of the extra drive. I think we need to make this a change to this and get it to use the whole space. Yeah, let's check the options menu. So I've got about 30 minutes to go. Yeah, somebody can't play World of Warcraft in the meantime, so I'm going to have to hurry up. Okay, so like an hour later, we've got 17 minutes to go. Anyway, we'll keep trying. Right, so I've come back to this. So we either had a problem cloning or the drive's fine and it's just tried to reboot from the wrong one. This looks more like a disk problem though. Anyway, yeah, I'll plug the drive in and reboot. Last time I checked at Acronis, it had 7 minutes to go, and that was about 20 minutes ago. We've now got the new drive plugged in that we've just cloned. We're seeing a Windows logo. This looks promising. So we had our logo, then we had our logo and loading dots, then we had no logo and loading dots. Now we've got nothing. I might not be fine. I might have to plug the original drive back in. Yep, so our hard drive light's going gangbusters. I think we might need to A, dust all of this off, and B, I might have to try again, but I'll plug the old drive in and see if we get a boot. I'll run check disk and see if that helps. Okay, so the original drive is booting, alright. I'll let that go and see if we get an OS. Alright, so it did eventually boot off the original hard drive. I had to leave it alone for a bit. And swap it back to the new one and just let it go. Well, I thought while I'm here, I'm going to dust this thing out because there's a shitload of dust in here. So here goes. Alright, let's take it back inside. Now with these business machines, there's always little mystery blue latches everywhere. And I had trouble getting the drive out of this because of the CPU fan, until I noticed this little latch. It's a whole lot easier. So now I've just got to translate all of this over to this drive. And I've vacuumed up all the dust off our floor plate there, so we should be right. At some point I'll get in here with some zip ties. Right, time to make use of the Optus set-top box and drop you back in. Okay, we're in. Let's hook it up and boot it up. Right, we've got everything buttoned up. Let's try again and see what we get. Do we get a Windows logo? Well, we've got a BIOS screen. And let's see what happens. Windows logo. Alright, I'll come back in a bit. Booted on the new drive. Took a couple of minutes to do a disk check. That's what was happening in the background. It's dinner time, so we're taking a break. Alright, so it's booted off the new drive. Dinner's finished. Password is ... And we're logging in. And it's bath time for the apprentice. We're going to let this log in and then we'll check crystal disk info. Okay, so while the bath's filling in the background and all the noise you can hear, we're going to load crystal disk info. Here we go. Handy little tool. I've used a few of these over the years, but this one's been the best one. We're still sort of loading things up at the moment. Of course, this requires root access. Let's have a look here. Alright, this one is registering as good. Let's zoom in the old-fashioned way. Right, so we are reading good, and we're reading only 1100 hours, much less than the close to 50,000 hours that were on the other one. Much better. And where I'm looking for uncorrectable sector count is at 0. Current pending sector, all 0 reallocated sector count of 140. I don't like that, but it's not enough to flick the warning levels on the thing. Otherwise it looks good, although you do get a few reallocated sectors from imperfections on a new disk that never change. If that starts going up, I'm pretty sure the smart status is going to tell us about that. But apparently this has only been powered on 62 times, so I'm relatively sure that that Optus box didn't see a lot of use. So we're doing pretty well. Alright, well, I think I'm going to do a few file system checks, but I'm going to leave this as is. We'll leave it here. But yeah, that's at least making some use of an old unwanted Optus box useful. So yeah, we'll see you all next time. And there's plenty more videos to come. I've got a few working in this parallel at the moment. So see you next time. But wait, there's more. I forgot one thing. Before we disappear, I need to go to the partition manager here, make the other 500 gig usable. That's the bit that I forgot. Now I could have booted into Linux and expanded this partition and mucked around and everything like that, but functionally the extra space we just need to make it usable. So take this unallocated space and we're going to make that an NTFS partition. Yes, make all of it useful. Assign it a drive letter, yep, and do that and call it backup space. Let's call it backups, that'll do. Cool. And it shouldn't take long. It's formatting at the moment, and won't be long and we'll see an extra drive letter. There we go. So, and it's brought up a file manager over here. So now we can go to backups I, which is all usable. Right, and from here we're going to do some disk checks and whatnot. So we'll carry on that. Now we're actually finished with the video. We'll see you next time.